Welcome to the Empower House podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Bryant, founder of Empower House, the Brunch Club events, business club mentor, twin mum, and coffee enthusiast. I've been hosting my networking event, the Brunch Club, featuring incredible speakers for 7 years. Now I'm bringing the Brunch Club experience and more to your ears. Come and join the community. Find us on Instagram at empower.house. Hello, my name is Lauren Bryant. I am your host for the Empower House podcast. I started my business Empower House in 2016, which is almost 9 years ago now. I am a small business specialist. I do systems, strategy, and networking events, which pretty much makes me a professional handholder. I am a new mum of twins, Laura and Isabella, who are just 4 months old now. I'm living on the Gold Coast, though I'm originally from the central coast of New South Wales. I have my wonderful boyfriend, Luke, and a couple of dogs at home. I'm a coffee girl, and I do enjoy a glass of wine. I wanted to kick this podcast off with an origin story, so you can learn a little bit about me and where I'm coming from. And I'm going to introduce you to some of the incredible speakers that we've had come through the Brunch Club, and we'll be able to get them on and pick their brain. And I will also share some of the things I've learned in business over the years as well. This isn't my first time running a business. I started in automotive when I was fresh out of high school. I was an 18-year-old and I went straight into full-time work for my dad in a panel shop. Working in a male-dominated industry is tough, but also makes you stand out because people are not used to seeing a woman doing quotes and dealing with cars and all that sort of thing. Thankfully, that industry is turning a little bit now where you're seeing more women involved. But at the time, back in the early 2000s, I was somewhat of a unicorn. Working for family can be challenging, but also very rewarding. There are a lot of things I don't think I would have had the experience with if I had been working for someone who wasn't family. At a very young age, being only 18, fresh out of school, I was learning how to do wages, deal with apprenticeships, quoting, invoicing, ordering, end of month statements, BAS, all of that sort of stuff, which was amazing, quite the learning curve. But I was really fortunate to have that experience, especially in a business that wasn't mine, where my livelihood was not on the line, and with people to guide me. We had a great accountant, we had a bookkeeper. My mum, who was a practice manager at a medical clinic, also came down and did the books and taught me things. And I had my dad, who had 40 years in the automotive repair industry at that time. And he taught me everything: project management, quoting, invoicing, the repair process. It was in this business that I learned I was actually really good at systems in both learning and then teaching them. If you've ever worked with some of the older generation, they can be a little bit tech phobic, which meant that I was the receptionist, the bookkeeper, and also IT support. So I had to both learn and teach things on the go regularly, which has served me really well in my career now. I was in the automotive industry for 11 years. I didn't stay working with my dad. I went in search of another career because I was done with Smash Repairs, and I landed myself another job in Smash Repairs, where I ended up managing while they were dealing with some family loss. I had a team of about a dozen guys. We were a multi-million-dollar business, and I was in my early 20s. So a lot of responsibility, very young age, but I've been doing it for a while and I figured I knew what I was doing. During my time in automotive, I got to do some really cool things as well. I went traveling, I was part of conferences. I also got to experience winning big contracts with well-known car brand insurance. After 11 years in the trade, though, I was ready for something else. While I was working full time, I took on some study with the life coaching college. So I did the life coaching diploma, the NLP course, that sort of thing, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And I wanted to start my own business. And I thought that that would be the direction that I would go in. But I wasn't quite ready yet. While I was away on one of the week-long trainings with the life coaching college, I met another lady who I clicked with, and she was telling me about this company she was working for. They were doing superannuation and life insurance and that sort of thing. And she said she loved it. She enjoyed the people, pay was great, lots of opportunities for learning, that sort of thing. And I thought that would be a great opportunity to learn something new and to get a little bit of cash behind me so that I could start my own business. So I took the opportunity and did my diploma in financial advice. And I was working in that company for about 9 months. The company itself wasn't what it said it was. It was not the pillar of integrity that it claimed. And I came to learn a little bit later that it was one of these Phoenix companies where they build it up, they sell the book, they close it down, and they reopen somewhere else. When I asked a few questions, I found myself without a job, which is fine. I then tried to get another job, literally any other job, and I did not get a rejection email, let alone a call back. I was applying for just about everything, and remembering that I've had a lot of time and experience running businesses, managing clients, and a team of people, and budgets and books and all of those things that come with running a business, I couldn't get a reception job. I couldn't get middle management, nothing. Nobody would have me. So, with a mortgage to pay and myself and a dog to feed, I started in Powerhouse. My roommate at the time had been through a program called the NEIS program. For those of you who haven't heard of it before, it's the New Enterprise Incentive Scheme. And what it is basically taking people who are on Centrelink, the job seekers, and instead of getting them to apply for, I think it's 10 jobs a week or a fortnight or something, they put them through a Cert 4 in business management. You get 12 months of a business mentor. And at the time, I think it was 9 months of Centrelink payments as well. The advantage of doing this is, one, obviously education, having the support to start your business and keep it going, and also that you could earn as much money in your business as you wanted or could without it affecting your Centrelink payments. So it was an obvious yes from me, being that I couldn't get a job and that I'd been talking about starting a business for such a long time. It seemed like the universe was giving me a little bump in that direction. So I went and did the course. I met about 20 people in my class. At that time, it was in person. I think it went online after COVID. But I quickly realized that people didn't know a lot about what it takes to run a business in the simplest forms. What profit and loss is, how much superannuation to pay employee, just all of these different little things that I would have thought were common knowledge for someone in business. But I quickly realized that people kind of accidentally start their businesses because they're really good at the thing or they have an idea for a product, but they don't have any real business knowledge. They haven't had the experience that I was fortunate enough to have had. I wanted to be a life coach. That is what I wanted to do. That's why my business is called Empower House. And so I was adamant that was what I was going to do. I did not see at the time all of the signals that were telling me use my experience in business. That is what's going to keep you going. And I kept finding client after client, but they wanted help with things like their systems, their websites, writing for awards, blogs, social media management, all of that kind of thing. So at the start of my business, I did everything, all of the above and more. I always had a figure in mind that I needed to make that week, and I would find that work to the cent every week. It was a tough time because I was doing a lot of work for not a lot of money, but at that time I was just in hustle mode. I wasn't really thinking long term. I was just trying to survive. which I think is the experience of every new business owner. Even when you've got all of the experience in the world, it helps to have an established business that you can walk into and make improvements on. Starting something brand new is exciting, but comes with its own set of challenges. And the biggest one of those is cash flow. After a couple of years in business, I realized that my circle were mainly employees, and I loved my friends. But what I needed was somebody that I could relate to and that I could speak to who would understand what it meant to be working from home as a small business owner and the challenges that come with that. So I decided I would go to some networking events, and I was going to these events where you would meet a lot of people. There'd be 40, 50 people in the room. You'd have a lot of 30-second elevator pitches, lots of business cards, handfuls of them, but you wouldn't get to connect with people. And that's what I was really looking for. I wanted that connection. So I'd leave these events and I felt kind of icky. So I decided that if I was feeling that way, that other people would feel the same. So I started my own networking event with zero experience in running events or organizing them. Love to throw a party, but I didn't know the first thing. So it was a big learning curve. I decided that my events would be no sales pitches, no business cards. We'd have a speaker. It would be on a Friday. We'd have some brunch, and it would be time to connect with other business owners and be able to just take off all of the hats, take off the mum hat, the business hat, all of the things, and just come as you are, be yourself. And I also decided that the worst case scenario was that it would just be my mum and I having a champagne on a Friday. And really, that wasn't a bad result. So I held my first networking event in July of 2018. We had Asha Barber from the Gold Coast Girls in Business as our first speaker, and we had 15 guests. And I decided there that if people keep turning up, I would keep hosting these events. We are 7 years in almost, and we now have 2 events, the Gold Coast and in Brisbane. And I've also held a pop-up event on the Sunshine Coast. We've had over 1,200 business owners join us, and we now have 2 hosts as well, the fabulous Joyce Santiago Savage and Courtney Dubois. Having a community has made the biggest difference in my business. I cannot stress enough. If you are not going to networking events at least every other month, you are missing out on so many valuable conversations, but also making connections that can make all the difference in your business and in theirs. With the community that I have created through the Brunch Club events, we've also managed to raise over $20,000 for charity in the last few years. And that would not be possible without the support of other businesses. For example, last year's International Women's Day, Honey Digital matched the money raised at the International Women's Day event, dollar for dollar, which meant that we instantly doubled our fundraising efforts. And that was all through connections and the generosity of Kaylee at Honey Digital. On that note, I want to welcome you to the community. I would love to meet you online. Come and find me on Instagram at empower.house. I'd love to hear what you thought of this podcast, what you want to hear more of, and if there's any special guests that you'd like me to interview as well. I hope this has given you a little insight to who I am and what you can expect from me on the podcast in the future. Thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to hear from you, and I'll see you next time on the Empower House podcast. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you enjoyed it, please send this to somebody who you think will enjoy it too. Don't forget to leave a review so I can reach more people just like you.